want to do, you had some pretty strong talk last night about whether the team gave a crap. Sober second thought today, is that still something that you think is, kind of plagued this team for a while, or was that kind of a heat of the moment comment?
No, I mean, it's not that the team doesn't give a crap. It's that, we need to find consistency in how hard we work. That's, that's a totally different issue for me than not giving a crap. So, last night we had a tough night at the office, and we have to treat it the right way. But, I'm not sending out the message that I don't believe in the team anymore, or that we're in trouble or anything else. We've got to fix the areas where we need to be better. And right now, as a bottom line in the game of hockey, if you're not prepared to win battles or win races, it's tough to win games. And that comes from work ethic and compete level. So when we're looking for a place to start in order to get out of this, that's where we need to start. And it's been good at points. It's not been good at points, and we need to find consistency there. And we talked yesterday, and, it's been written over the last little while about our inconsistency over the first quarter. And I think that's probably the best word for it, is inconsistency. So we know when we are consistent, when we get to our game, when our work ethic and our compete level are to the points where they need to be, we're a good hockey team. When they're not, you get results like we got last night. So we know exactly where we need to start. But again, I repeat, I'm not saying that this is panic time, or this is we don't believe in the team as a coaching staff or anything else. We do. We just have to make sure that we find the consistency in what we're doing.
Do you think you have enough guys who can, quote unquote, drag you into the battle?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we do. Chucky does it a fair amount. But we've got other guys that can. Luch can, Brett Ritchie can. We've got, guys on the back that certainly can drag us in. Zach Ronaldo can. I think Andrew Mangiapane can. I think, Dylan Dubé can. Sam Bennett can. I think there's a lot of guys that can drag us into the battle. Elias Lindholm can. I could go through tons and tons of guys who I think can drag us into the battle. So I don't think there's any issue that way with us.
Okay, thanks, Geoff.
Yep.
Okay, we'll go to Ryan Leslie next.
Geoff, I realize you've won 4 of 6, and there's plenty of positives to start this season. But as we're talking about inconsistencies and dragging one another into the fight, I just wonder, do you see is there an issue with culture or identity at this point with this group?
There certainly isn't an issue with culture. I think we need to find consistency playing to our identity. So, it all plays into the same kind of thing. And, a lot of our identity is built from the fact that we want to be a hardworking team and we want to be hard to play against. So when that's not in place, your identity suffers. So, we've talked for a while now about that's where we need to start with our team. And once we get that, then other things will fall into place.
Danny Austin next.
Hi, Geoff.
Hi, Danny.
When we talk about sort of work ethic and finding that consistency, does it largely just come down to personal accountability and guys needing to kind of step up and take responsibility?
Well, I think it's accountability on a couple of different levels. It's individual accountability, but it's also team accountability. You've got a responsibility, everybody does, coaches, players alike, to get yourself prepared for a game, and also to help your teammates get prepared. Make sure that, the guys you're playing with are ready to go and everybody's on the same page. We know exactly what's going on. So, there's 2 different types of accountability there, but yeah, certainly it's a fair word when you're talking about inconsistency.
And then you guys sort of play starting tomorrow. I think it's 7 games in 11 days in 4 different cities. And Milan Lucic said that this is just a pivotal stretch for you guys. You guys can't keep playing 500 hockey. What does success look for you in this coming sort of 11-day stretch here?
Well, I mean, the easy thing to do with it is probably tied into numbers, but I'm not going to tie it into numbers. I think the easiest thing for us is finding our game. Like if we feel like if we get to our game, if we stick to our process, the results will look after themselves. But we got to make sure that we're working our process far more diligently and efficiently than we have been. And when we get to that, that level where we are working our process and and things are falling in our way, and, you know, we've got our game on the ice, then, you know, the results look after themselves. So, you know, what I'm really looking for off of this next couple of games and heading into the road trip is that we can get back to our game, put our game on the ice for a full 60 minutes. You know, let's start there. Once we get there, we can start talking about what we're going to do points wise and things like that. But right now, you know, until we ante up in some of those areas, it's a steep hill to climb, you know, in terms of trying to get the points at the end. So like we say every day, your process can never waver. We've got to stick with our process, and we got to trust each other that we're going to stick with our process, and we're going to demand it from each other that we stick with our process. And if we do, we'll come out of this.
Thank you, Geoff.
Yep.
Go to Jack Michaels.
Geoff, you mentioned and made a point of mentioning Mangiapane and Dubé as two of those players kind of that are more than capable of dragging you into the battle. And though not necessarily the biggest players, it seems like they've improved as they've continued to go inside the dots and play in areas where you'd normally assume a bigger player plays. Is that some of their strengths?
Yeah, for sure. I think what we're talking about, you know, really at the end of the day, Jack, when you're talking about dragging people into the battle, is you're talking about competitive level. You know, like how hard do you compete? And both those guys compete extremely hard. So, you know, when you're sort of looking at like who can drag guys in with them, just, you know, ask yourself who's competitive. You know, competitive guys, when you're competitive, it's contagious. You know, it makes it easier for the next guy to compete. And then you start, as you say, dragging other guys into the battle. So I think the biggest thing for our team is that, you know, we've got to be prepared to make a statement to our team that we're ready to go with how hard we compete and how hard we work as individual parts of the team. And I think when we get to that, then, you know, things take over. But with those two players specifically, we've got no worries about their compete level. I mean, they compete extremely hard. They take pride in it. And as I said, we could go down that list, you know, with a lot of our guys. I mean, we're not sitting here going, oh boy, we don't have competitive people. We do have competitive people. You know, we just got to make sure that, as I said, it's showing up at game time, and we're taking pride in the fact that we're going to be competitive and hard to play against.
And how often do you drive in it, and how often do you kind of sit back and let your leadership group take responsibility for driving what you're talking about?
Well, we've, you know, from day one here, we've empowered every member of our team, and so, you know, at the end of the day, I think you want your team to be self-managed, and this is part of the process of them learning how to be self-managed. They've got to, you know, they've got to understand that they can take this on. Certainly, as coaches, we're involved in it. You know, we talk to our guys on a regular basis, but, you know, the one thing that I know is that a lot of these messages, when you're in situations like this, mean more when they come from a teammate than they do coming from coaches. And that's an important part here, I think. And it goes back to, you know, what somebody was asking about accountability. I mean, this is exactly where it's at, and it's part of the process. And for us to become a self-managed team, we need not only our leadership group, but every guy. You know, we talk about roving leadership too. When you see an opportunity to lead, you do so. And so these are all opportunities for our guys to make statements and get us back on board and get our process working in the right direction.
Go to Pat Steinberg.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Pat.
You know, when you talk about consistency and finding consistency, you've had consistent groups before, and that was kind of the hallmark of the 18-19 team. What are the hallmarks of a consistent group? What are the keys to finding that consistency? I guess kind of a loaded question, but how do you get to being a consistent group?
Well, I think number one, you know, you're coming to the rink in a good frame of mind. I think that helps with consistency. I mean, you have to enjoy coming to the rink. This is a place where you want to come. You have to enjoy coming to the rink, being involved with your teammates, playing the game. I think that's a big thing in determining consistency. You know, when you feel good about what's going on, it makes it easier to sort of repeat it. So, you know, that's certainly for me is key. You know, I think trusting in your teammates is a huge thing in terms of consistency. You know, if you understand that, you know, you're going to bring this to the rink every day, but you trust that your teammates are going to bring, you know, this and that to the rink every day. If you trust your teammates, I think it makes it easier to be consistent. I think if you're all on the same page with respect to, you know, where you are with your preparation in terms of getting ready to go out in the ice surface, it helps with consistency. I think how hard you work and your compete level helps with consistency. I think there's a lot of factors that drive it. But on good teams, you have it. And on good teams, guys are confident in each other, and guys are confident in themselves. And so when you show up to the rink, you've almost got a feeling like you're going to be successful on that particular day. And, we can all sit here, but the one thing that everybody out here knows, because you guys have covered sports for a long time, is that there's a lot of games won or lost before they ever played, with respect to how you're mentally made up and what you believe as a team and as an individual. And, those things all come into play. And when you're consistent, it's easier to have that positive mindset.
Okay, our final question here to Wes Gilbertson.
Geoff, I'm just wondering, when the sky, and every team has these days where, in a Canadian market, the sky seems to be falling outside of the rink. What do you look for inside the room to make sure that the group is kind of weathering that storm?
Well, we've talked about this before too. The only thing that matters is what the perception inside the room is. I mean, those are the guys inside the room are the people that are going to, get the ship going in the right direction again. So, we talk about it a lot. We can't get caught up in what people on the outside of the dressing room are thinking. It's not something we can control. We have to worry about things that we can control. We have to come and work in those areas where, we can dictate something. And so, when you concentrate on that, I think it's an awful lot easier to sort of get yourself insulated and get yourself moving in the right direction. And, if you guys remember when was it, last February, that's exactly what happened. The guys just insulated themselves from what was going on the outside and, brought it back to our core values as a team and where we were at. And, we started to climb again. So that's all part and parcel of where we're at with this process right now. And we've got to look forward to making that process work again. I mean, that's where we're at. That's what we control. And that's where we start to dig in and make a difference. And I'll stay. Anybody else got a question? I'll stay. I don't want to make it look like I'm bailing on you guys.
Geoff, do you have another question? Is your hand still up from earlier? Okay, Eric Francis, go to you.
Geoff, who chose the song list today? Very crucial question.
I was waiting for that. That was Johnny today.
Johnny. Okay. And how come you only went 3 songs deep? Because it was that bad?
I'll let you make the opinion on that, buddy.
Okay. That's the end of my hard-hitting question.
Okay, guys, thanks very much. We'll reconvene tomorrow after the morning skate.
Thanks, guys.